This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
Well, I think the bigger question is, how are you doing? Went in for some
Right there, my friends. I don't know if you could see
stress
that.
test results.
Oh yeah, there. I am in rhythm. Although some people would say that I have no rhythm. But
so
yes.
How does that work? They literally strap you up with a bunch of sticky things all over, and then they say run?
Pretty much, yeah.
Some would say certain BTL shows are stress tests for you.
They should hook me up to an EKG while I'm doing the show.
Here's what they need to do. If you've listened for the past month, they needed to hook you up and then make you watch a Penguins game with the PPG logos on the helmet. That would really determine your level of stress.
Well, I was a little stressed out to begin with. You know why? Because when I got there, Mr. Jeffries, we do not have you scheduled. What? It's next Tuesday. And then what ended up happening, they had it wrong.
They had it wrong,
not me. I mean, because I got so much stuff going on, especially this time of the year with basketball. I make sure that everything is dialed in. Anyway, yeah, man. Looks kind of cool.
Let me see that.
Yeah, I asked him for an extra copy.
That looks like a paper graph. That's literally a paper. That is a paper graph right there.
Yeah, with lines going up and down.
So what am I looking at here? Is it like one resting heart rate? Or are they different levels of...
Yeah, it's your heart beating.
Like, do you sweat and stuff while you're doing it? You
I was
splashing water on your face?
No. You don't go
playing
for that
Rocky?
Long. No, give me that back.
They got like low lighting in there for you. Now entering the stress test chambers.
Give me that back.
6'4" from Moore, Oklahoma. Mark Jen, then you get on there, headband on.
No.
Speaking of rescheduling like that, by the way, we have Trevor McKinney on today, who is from the collegiate ranks, who's got to wait a little bit longer to fish in the Bassmaster Classic. That was supposed to be in March and is now moved to the summer. But he won the bracket fish-off against his buddy and teammate. I believe that was on Lay Lake towards the end of the year. Correct, Mark?
I think so.
And is now in the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what else he is fishing. I know typically they get the wrapped boat and stuff like that, and then they get to fish the opens. So I'd be interested to see if he's doing that. And it sounds like he is an outdoors guy. Fair assessment, Mark? Yeah. I don't know anything about it. Never talked to him.
All right, let me ask you this. The profile pic that I used in the promo stuff on BassZone.com.
Yes.
You know who he looks like to me? He looks like a young, and I mean young, James Overstreet.
Let me check this out here.
Look at the pic. Yes or no?
Yes. But that's because he's got the fog in the background and the camo on and a little bit of facial
But does
hair.
he not look like a young James Overstreet?
You make that kind of black and white? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I thought I was dead on that. All right, real quick, working on the schedule for next week. Folks, I am really, really trying to get some White River Marine people on here. I'm working through another contact that I have, and she is working very, very hard to get somebody to come on the show and talk a little bit about two things. One, the situation with a lot of the pros, obviously not with one of the White River brands in the upcoming season. And then, two, to talk a little bit more about this $1 million tournament that's taking place.
This is crazy. So this actually came down the pipe on Monday, and then the website went live, and I've been scouring over it, had a lot of people call. So they went with the Johnny Morris Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open National Bass Fishing Amateur Team Championship benefiting conservation presented by Toyota.
It's a mouthful.
And I'm sure, guys, if you're listening or watching the show, I'm sure most of you guys have been sent, seen, talked to, researched, looked this up because, well, I didn't realize how much money. First of all, let's get the elephants in the room out of the way.
What's that?
It's the U.S. Open, but it's not the U.S. Open. And it's also not really open. So you have to be
it's the U.S. closed.
It's a
U.S. restricted.
Johnny's large team tournament for those who own his boats and their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is the
I'm
50th.
not ripping on it.
Dude,
I'm just pointing out facts.
It is the 50th anniversary.
Right. Tracker, Ranger, Nitro, Triton, Mako, Sun Tracker, or Tahoe. I really hope the person who wins this is fishing out of a Tahoe with like a 65-inch shaft on it.
Was Triton on that list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tracker, Ranger, Nitro, Triton, Mako, Sun Tracker.
Right.
Anyway, the main thing is there's all sorts of interesting registrations. It starts very soon. This is a Cliff Notes version, folks. You can go to the U.S. Open rules. It starts very soon. The way I understand it, it's like a elk tag or deer tag, whatever. You get registered with your team. It's $450 a person, and then they draw 250 teams out of that. And if you're in the teams, you fish your qualifier. Qualifiers all over the country. Top 40 teams in the qualifiers go to the U.S. Open, I guess, the national team championship. Now, this is what got me prizes. I do like that they just have hundreds spread out and over 4 million. But for each of the qualifiers, and there's 8 that are spread, first place, $50,000 cash, top 40 payout. Biggest bass from each qualifier goes into a drawing for a nitro, so you have a 1 in 8 shot then. Biggest bass also wins $1,000 a pound. So if you catch a 6-pounder, that's $6,000. Plus, you get a replica mount mailed to you after that fish replica is displayed in the Bass Pro Shops closest to your house.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. They are really, really going big time.
So
from a what
glory
prize standpoint,
yeah, I mean,
it is unbelievable
from a prestige standpoint.
The amount of money that they are awarding the players.
So if you
in this game
catch an 8-pounder on grain, this is the way I understand it. We haven't had anyone on. You get $8,000 if it's 8 plus a replica. But first, it's going to sit there for a year at the Bass Pro Shops at Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where people can marvel upon the 8-pounder with the golden plaque under it that was caught as the biggest bass in the U.S. Open qualifier.
Yeah.
And you qualify for the championship, the top 40 teams. But they also have this. Youth angler, biggest bass, $1,000 at each qualifier. Family teams, $1,000 gift card. Every 8-pounder caught by a family team gets a cooler. All female teams, biggest bass, $1,000. Veterans, active military, biggest bass, $1,000. If 2 of their bass weigh 5 pounds or more, they get Johnny Morris's prize pack, another $1,000. And for every bass at 8 pounds or more, if you're a veteran, active military, or a hometown hero, you get 8 pounds of Black Rifle coffee. So that's just at the regionals. Then you go to the national. Should I continue?
The bottom line is this, man. They are really forking out some pretty incredible prizes for this event.
The championship, $1 million cash. Each team member gets a Tundra and a 21-foot bass boat.
Hey, and remember, if you finish in the top 40 and qualify for the championship, it's no entry fee.
Then they do the female, youth, junior, family teams. Biggest bass of the championship wins a boat. Plus, if you won the biggest bass at the other one, they do the drawing for that. Everyone comes, hangs out at Johnny's, golfs at the highest at golf resorts, eats fine meats and cheeses, and wins boats and trucks and coolers and all sorts of stuff. Now, the biggest thing under the rules that sticks out to me is if you've competed as a boater in the MLF Major or Bass Elite Series within the past 2 years, can't fish it. if you have ever, so this doesn't make sense to me. Anglers that have ever paid an entry fee greater than $2,500. Right?
That makes sense to me.
Well, if you competed
paid,
in an FLW Major or Bassmaster Elite Series ever, you've paid more than $2,500, so you're out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, like Jared Miller, for example.
He was on the Elite Series.
Right. But he hasn't competed in 2 years.
He's out.
Because he paid an entry fee greater than $2,500.
That is correct.
And anglers that have career earnings greater than 100. So the first one is, all it should be is anglers who have ever paid an entry fee greater than $2,500. If you've competed as a boater/pro in a major or Bass Elite Series event within the past 2 years,
yeah,
immediately preceding the BPO event being entered. Oh, yeah, in the past 2 years. Yeah, so, I mean, that second one cancels out the first one. And then the third one is the anglers who have career earnings greater than $100,000. So my question is, does that count co-anglers? Because what about that due to...
the answer is no.
Yeah, but...
according to my sources.
If you go...
Because they are referring to the boater.
What if you're a co-angler who has over $100,000 and you're fishing it?
If you've never fished as a boater, I would say no.
I think you're disqualified if you have $100,000 in earnings.
As a co-angler?
Yeah, 100. It doesn't matter. I think they're looking at it as your career earnings.
We'll get clarification on that.
So then it also doesn't say, like, do both people have to be registered owners or not? There's like not a clear line that says only one team member has to be, right?
Yeah, I don't know on that one. We'll get clarification on that one too. The other thing too that I put,
it says
I put out there,
participation is open to anglers who are 18 years and older and are registered owner of a White River Marine Group boat. It says nothing about, but then it says like, hey, sign up with your buddy. So, and then there's stuff for under 18.
Yeah.
But if you're over 18, do both team members have to be?
I don't think so.
These are hypothesizations.
I don't think so.
It's interesting.
I really don't. I don't think so. The other thing is I asked the question, is this just a one and done? In other words, is this just going to be a 1-year event? And that's it for the 50th anniversary.
So here's the other thing. If you are the top finishing guy in like the Nichols because they're a boat dealer team trail, you also go straight to the championship. So there's 31 team trails that are qualified also for the championship. So you have 350 in the championship, 316. They actually explain this the way I really wished any of the other organizations that have ever done this explain. There's literally like a graphic here. 316 teams from the 8 qualifying events, 31 teams from the boat dealer team trails, and 3 collegiate teams and make up the 350 boat teams.
Yeah. It's great from an opportunity standpoint for people that just want to kind of get into it and have the opportunity to fish for $1 million and are not classified a professional. They really top of the line from a money standpoint. That is a lot of money, Matthew, that they're going to award for this whole thing. Now, the other thing is there's going to be a ton of money that's going to go toward conservation.
Yes.
I don't know if you read that, but massive.
Like over $1 million, like $4 million bucks.
But they're like matching. I don't know how much that. Hence, that's part of the reason why I want to get somebody on here, to where they can really explain it. But there is a ton of money that is going to be given toward conservation or to conservation.
I'm trying to figure out how much. I think it's definitely over $1 million.
It's a lot of money. I think it's more than that though. Anyway, so. Definitely the buzz is about this. And, I received a couple of emails from people that said, hey, I didn't know what the U.S. Open was until you guys started talking about it. So maybe, yes, the iconic nature of the U.S. Open is a West Coast thing and not really that well known across the country. But I think, west of that line, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, obviously, the U.S. Open is an iconic event that has taken place over 30-plus years. So we'll see. We'll see. All right,
how many
man.
guys sign up for it? Like, how many do you think will sign up for the grand one? Because I think so. You sign up for the tournament, and then you get put into the drawing, and then it's a like.
Is there off limits?
Yeah, there's like 3 days before, but you're like drawing a tag, right?
Yeah.
So if there's 400 teams, only 250 will get in. It's not based on like when you register, I don't believe. There's just you have to be registered by this date, and then they draw a week later.
Now, you mentioned before the show, what kind of situation is this going to put Grand Lake in?
Yeah, you're going to have I believe this is, I think the Skeeter, the Nichols, this tournament, and the Open all in the span of like 5 weeks.
So 5 tournaments in 5 weeks.
Yeah, I need to go back and actually, I just know that I had guys from Grand that were calling being like, we'll never catch a bass again.
Man, that is a lot of pressure. 5 200 boat tournaments, 200 plus.
So does it surprise you? I don't know. Does it surprise you that this is a completely independent Bass Pro Shops only deal and that there's no affiliation with MLF?
Not really.
With as much as...
No, not really.
Is it competition?
I did pose the question. No, I posed that, is Bass Pro Shops still a sponsor of MLF? You know, as far as I know, they are.
Is there just a list of MLF sponsors?
I think so. Haven't looked, though. Johnny, man, Johnny is getting after it. He's buying everything. Shelling out all kinds of money.
I hope I explained that in a semi. I got a little excited in the middle
kinda all
just
over
because
the
there was
place
so
there,
much
man.
information that was hitting me in the face with all these nicely laid out graphs.
Yeah. You're kind of all over the place there. Wow. All right, I have to mention this, and then we're going to go to a break and come back with Trevor. It's all the basketball talk we'll get today.
Okay.
All right, but we played the number 10 team in the state last night.
Number 10.
Elgin.
What did you bump up
Dude,
to?
don't
What did
even
you
get me
move up to,
started
though?
on
What
that.
was your ranking?
We only bumped up 2 spots
So
to 13.
after beating...
Don't get me started. All right, I will go on a 30-minute tangent, and everybody will
Wait,
hate
you
me
were
for that.
thinking you would be in the top 10.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay.
So we were a little pissed off. All right. So we're playing number 10, and they were down 28-3 before they knew what hit them.
The top 10 team.
Elgin. Yeah.
28-3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We ended up winning by 17, but
Congratulations.
we led by as much as 28 at one time.
That's a statement win.
Yeah,
You should definitely jump into the top 10 now.
big game on Friday because they're in the top 10 too. I'm telling you, man, our schedule is brutal. People just don't understand how competitive and how just unreal the high school basketball is in Oklahoma right now. But anyway, great win. And you know, we didn't over-celebrate. In fact, it was kind of like we were stuck in the mud because our walkthrough in practice was horrible. And afterwards, I said, you know, guys, we were kind of stuck in the mud, but we just kind of four-wheeled an ass-kicking right there because that's what it was. So we'll see what happens on Friday. Big game on Friday. All right, coming back with Trevor McKinney here on a Wednesday, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
New active target by Lowrance.
It exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active target by Lowrance. Game on.
BassCat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from BassCat.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamix shop put fish in my boat.
One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
The Ned rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Ducket Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
Bye.
Get out of there! Get out of there!
Oh, yeah!
Oh, it's freaking digging!
Get in here! Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my God! Oh, my God!
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Wednesday. Don't forget, day 4 tomorrow with Frank Scalish. Matthew, tomorrow's going to be open question day with Frank. That went so well last time. Frank said, you know what? Let's do it again. So you're going to be able to ask Frank anything that you want. And oh, by the way, if you have access to a good internet connection, a headset that has an earpiece and a mic in it, let me know, because I'm going to send you the link, and you can actually join Frank tomorrow and us via our video feed.
Hang
on. So send me an email, mark@basszone.com, and I'll send you the link to be a guest and ask Frank a question.
Kind of like you do with Mark?
Yeah, via the video link.
I was just saying, do you think we should do a Sunline Hotline show next week? We haven't done that in 2020.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We'll do a Sunline Hotline show next week. It is one of the days booked.
Because we do have some stuff to give out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that email that we were sent. Did you get the stuff yet?
I believe you just send them the contact and they actually send it. Are we
Okay.
talking about the things that come in cylindrical tubes? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Can we mention that? Can we talk about that now?
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Right.
We'll do it tomorrow.
It's they're approximately 7 foot long. They're brand new. If you ask a good question, we'll send it to you.
Hey, I don't think there's another live studio show that gives away more stuff than we do, or podcasts. So we'll
you
go
eventually
from
get it, and it may or may not be used, but we give it away.
We give it away. All right, it is time to go to our special guest now, and this guy is going to be in the Classic, Matthew.
Yeah, he gets to revel in the glory of being the Classic qualifier for several more months. Instead of like qualified and then fishing and then wow, that was wild for 3 months. It's like he gets to be like, yeah, I'm going to be in that thing for like an extra 3 or 4 months. It's like bonus glory is the way I would describe it.
I don't know if he thinks of it that way. All right, let's bring him in here. Trevor, man, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good, man. Glad we got this in. I'm glad that you were able to, what was it, geese?
Geese?
Yeah, I was chasing geese in northern Illinois, and service was super spotty. So,
yeah,
is that like a job or?
I wish it was my job.
Oh,
I mean, I could make it into a job, but no, I was just doing it. I went on kind of a little goose hunting tour and hunted for a couple weeks with a couple buddies, and we had a good time with it.
All right, man. For a lot of people out there, this is your first appearance on BTL. What are some of the characteristics? I mean, you've kind of been through, the high school thing, the college thing, and now you qualify for the Bassmaster Classic. But what's kind of the background on Trevor McKinney?
Yeah, no, I grew up in a really small town, and when I was a kid, I mean, I'd ride the four-wheeler down the road to the ponds, and I mean, all I did was fish. I mean, I fished with my dad, I fished with my grandpa, and when I got into high school fishing was just really starting to take off, and it wasn't really that big of a deal when I started going to high school. And I mean, you see what it is now. I mean, there's 250, 300 boats at a high school tournament now. And when I started in high school, there was like the first national championship had 60 boats in it. But like I said, it was just starting when I got into high school, and I fished every high school tournament I could possibly fish. I mean, I traveled the country fishing almost every weekend if I could get my dad to get off the couch and take me. I mean, I was fishing all the time, and that led to college fishing. I mean, I got recruited to fish in college, and now I'm here where I'm at now through all that.
So that was McKendree, right?
Yep, I went to McKendree University in Illinois.
We had KJ Queen on, who's been through the Bethel program. I know McKendree actually had some friends who grew up in Central Illinois who ended up going and fishing for McKendree as well. How does the recruiting process work? You're like sitting at home one day, you're in high school, you're doing well. Is it a call? Is it a brochure? Is there a coach sitting in your living room telling your parents, you could go to that school, but you'll fish at this school a lot sooner? I mean, how does the recruiting process work in that?
Right. I mean, if you fish a lot of tournaments and you prove yourself and you do well, really on the high school tour, you'll have fishing coaches looking at you, most likely. The head coach in McKendree, John Render, he kind of seen some of the success that I had in high school, and that brought us together. We actually met at a boat show. And I met him face to face, and we just had an instant connection and really connected and went out to dinner. And if you fish a lot in high school and do well, I think you'll have coaches looking at you. But also, I mean, you need to look at coaches and try to contact them. If Coach Render hadn't contacted me, I probably would have sent him an email and said, hey, Coach Render, my name's Trevor McKinney. I'm looking at fishing in college. Would you be interested in talking? I mean, like I said, if you do well, you'll have coaches looking at you, but don't be afraid to contact coaches as well and show your interest in their university and their fishing team.
I think we've had him on the show, Mark.
We have. It was
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah. How much did the college game help you for your future?
I mean, the college game was the best thing that I ever did. College fishing is grown just like high school fishing, and the opportunities that collegiate anglers get, it's just incredible. I mean, a college angler every year goes to the Bassmaster Classic. It's just amazing the opportunities that are given to us, and I've gained so much knowledge and experience over the last 4 years that I would have never gained had I not went to college and fished for college at McKendree. Like and everything's paid for at our team. I mean, they pay for gas, they pay for hotels, they pay for. I mean, Coach Render and his wife, they cook for us. I mean, it's like going on a vacation every time we go go fishing. I mean, it's all paid for. But in all seriousness, you gain so much knowledge, and it's just nice to fish against all the collegiate anglers. Get that competitive route going, and it really trains you to fish the Elite Series, to fish the Opens. I mean, if you can do well on the collegiate series, you can do well in the Opens and make the elites. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, the college guys are some of the best anglers in the country, and you see that through guys like Jordan Lee, Matt Lee. I mean, guys who are making it in the pros who come up through the college ranks. So, I mean, I've gained so much experience fishing college, and I'm so glad that I did.
What did you study in college, Trevor?
I went to school to be an elementary school teacher, so I have a degree in elementary ed and special education.
Wow, that's Michael Simonton.
Yeah.
Remember, he fished the Elite Series out there, and he lives in Ohio now. He runs Venture Baits, and he's also a teacher in those two disciplines.
Yeah.
You know who Michael Simonton is?
The name sounds really familiar.
You should chat. He's one of the nicest guys ever. Fishes out of the Lunds. He guides up there, but literally that's exactly what he teaches.
Yeah. All right. Set up this whole team thing, you know, from really the entire season to the event that took place that got you in the class.
The bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my partner, Blake Jackson. You want a little more about that?
Yeah.
So, me and Blake, I mean, we're really good friends. We live 25 minutes from each other. So we're good friends, and we fished all season together. I mean, really the last 2 or 3 seasons we fished together. And we actually qualified for the college bracket that qualified me for the Bassmaster Classic. We qualified together as a team. And really it was just a blessing from God that we qualified, because as we got to the national championship, we drove 16 hours to get to the Harris Chain in Florida, and our boat got totaled. A woman hit it going 60 mile an hour and totaled our boat right as we were pulling into the hotel. So we didn't actually get very much practice at all. We ended up getting about 4 hours of practice. But the Lord works in mysterious ways. I mean, had we gotten 3 or 4 days of practice, we might not have found what we found in 4 hours of practice, and we might not have dedicated ourselves to the area that we fished at the Harris Chain. We finished 4th in the national championship. You had to finish in the top 4 to qualify for the bracket. So that's how we did that. And then we actually ended up fishing head-to-head on the final day of the bracket against each other. So, I mean, it was nice knowing that one of us was going to make the Bassmaster Classic. But you talk about some nerves going through your head fishing against your partner that you fished with the last 2 years, almost every tournament, fishing against him for a chance to go to the Classic. I mean, it was nerve-wracking for sure.
All right, I have to ask you, and I'm not trying to get personal or anything like this, but we see this take place in some individual sports. We see it take place in poker a lot, where when you get to a certain point, because of the potential prize fund that's in play, you end up saying, let's just chop this up.
You fish the first day of the Classic, I'll fish the second?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as a team, potentially, did you guys even think or consider or actually do a deal where, look, if either one of us make it and we make some money and we make a lot of money, we're going to chop it up 50-50? Did you guys have a deal in place because you were team partners that no matter who did what, both of you guys were going to share in the success?
No, we really didn't have a deal like that going. But what we did have going is we were kind of working together at the bracket. Once we qualified for the bracket, I mean, on the way home from the Harris Chain, we honestly looked at each other and we determined that we didn't care if I made it to the Classic, if he made it to the Classic. It didn't matter which one of us made it. We just wanted one of us to make it to the Bassmaster Classic, and that's what ended up happening. But in practice, we kind of tuned each other into certain baits, certain areas. I mean, we were working together because we honestly wanted one of us to make the Bassmaster Classic, but we never come up with any deals as far as 50-50 or none of that. But I'm just glad it worked out the way that it did, and it was awesome to be able to fish against my partner and one of my best buddies against him in the final day just to make the Classic. It was an amazing experience.
Very cool. All right. Matt, because you're from Illinois and the question was on the instant feedback, What's your favorite lake in Illinois?
In Illinois, it seems like it changes every year. Lake of Egypt used to be my favorite lake in southern Illinois. It seems like it gets tougher and tougher every year. There's more and more pressure, and they've slowed the power plant down a lot, and the fishing's really tough out there right now. But I grew up fishing Lake of Egypt. It's always been one of my favorites. I went to Newton Lake yesterday. Usually it's on fire, but we caught one bass yesterday, so
They weren't generating?
It was pretty tough. They were generating, but they actually quit right when we got there. It messed the bite up. It was pretty tough, and we got a lot of rain, which really dirtied up the water. But I mean, I like fishing all different lakes in Illinois. I don't really have one particular favorite. If I had to call one my favorite, it'd probably be Lake of Egypt, just because I've had the most success on that lake. But I mean, I like going up to Clinton. I like fishing Newton. Kincaid's a good lake. I mean, we have a lot of good fisheries in Illinois that get overlooked by a lot of people. So I like to get around and fish lots of different bodies of water because they're all different, really.
Did a fairly good job of selling the good fisheries in Illinois. I grew up in Illinois too. Fished Shelbyville, Clinton, Decatur, Taylorville.
I don't know about Decatur and Shelbyville. They're not the brightest fisheries, but
okay, he is honest then. But yeah, we always liked going down to Lake of Egypt because it was one of the places where you could get bit.
Yeah,
and catch
you
fish
definitely
on a
can get
regular
bit.
basis.
Yeah,
but
I only live maybe 30 minutes from Egypt, so I fished there my whole life, and it is a good fishery for sure.
Power plant lake's big in Illinois. Sandcrest, Coffeen, which now sucks, but
they shut the plant down and it's gone downhill.
Lake of Egypt, a number of those, a lot of guys fish year round, and then the big thing is the 25, 30 horse limits. Everyone has the Kawasaki's, I believe, the motors for their winter jackpots that everyone fishes out there on the power plant lakes.
Interesting. All right, man.
Little side note information there.
There you have it. All right, man. What are your thoughts on Lake Ray Roberts?
I was really excited to fish it in March. I mean, it would have set up perfectly for me as far as fishing shallow, the spawn. I think it would have been a slugfest, really. And I'm still excited for fishing Lake Ray Roberts in June. I think it's going to be a good tournament. You'll see you might even see a 30-pound bag caught. I mean, there's big ones in there. It's Texas. Big ones live in there. I don't know if it's going to set up as well for me personally as it would have in March, but I'm still really excited. I'm just blessed to have the opportunity to fish the Bassmaster Classic. It's something I've dreamed of since I was a kid, and I think it's something that all fishermen dream of at one point in their careers and lives. And, besides the fishing, I'm just going to go have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. And I think there's still going to be a lot of big bags caught, like I said, and I'm going to try to be one of those big bags.
I mean, I mentioned this before you came on. There's a little bonus in there, though. You get to revel in the fact for a whole half year now, though. I mean, that's kind of cool. You get a lot more time. I mean, you could add a lot more to a repertoire. You have a lot more time to get ready. I mean, otherwise we'd be a month away from it already.
Yeah, well, you're right there. The off limits originally was January 1st, and right in the middle of duck season. So I was duck hunting every day and battling going. And right as I was going to go, the duck hunting got really good, and I ended up not going. And I was kicking myself in the butt for not going. But now the off limit's pushed back to April. So I mean, that worked in my favor. I'm going to go check out the lake in March, kind of learn my way around, and I think that's going to help me out in the end. So that's a really positive note for me. Also, I'll get a lot of experience fishing the opens. I'll have, I think, 2 or 3 opens I'll have more than that. I'll have 4 opens under my belt by the time the Classic starts. So that'll be good. Just the fact that I've kind of got the ball rolling. Hopefully I've had a little bit of success and built some confidence before the Classic. And I think that'll work in my favor as well.
Wait, did you say you went duck hunting instead of pre-practice for the Classic?
I'm a duck hunter by heart and a fisherman.
You kind of rolled past that, and I was like, wait, I think that's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing duck season not during the fishing season because I'd really struggle with it. But I fish all year, and then duck season 60 days, and I usually duck hunt about all 60 days. So.
Wow.
And then how many divisions are the opens?
I'm fishing all 3 divisions, 9 tournaments.
Really? Is that a deal? Are you putting some of your resources towards that, or is that also a deal that you got all 3 divisions through winning the bracket?
Yeah. So when I won the bracket, all my entries were paid for all 3 divisions.
Holy cow!
I won $7,500 from Carhartt to pay for hotels, expenses, stuff like that. So like I said, it's just a great opportunity that Bass gives college anglers. I mean, how many guys are going to go fish all the opens with their expenses paid for, their entries paid for? I mean, it's a really good opportunity to just kickstart my career as a professional angler. And I'm going to fish all the opens, and that's my goal is to qualify for the elites in 2022, and hopefully qualify for the classic again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm over here selling used wiggle warts, trying to get down to Florida. You're just rolling in it.
Oh, my gosh. Matthew. All right, Trevor, let's talk a little bit about your game. What is really the best part of your game, and what do you feel you really need to work on?
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely being from Illinois, I'm a shallow water fisherman by heart. I mean, I love fishing shallow. I've caught fish when their backs were out of the water. They were so shallow. And that's what I'm really good at, is catching fish that people wouldn't even think you can catch because they're that shallow. So that's kind of why I was looking forward to the Classic in March, because that's where those fish were going to be, where I love to catch them at. Something I need to work on. We don't have a lot of clear water in Illinois, so I actually didn't own a spinning rod until about 3 or 4 years ago. I got my first couple setups for bass fishing. I thought a spinning rod was for bluegill and crappie. So that's all I used a spinning rod for until about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So that's what I need to work on really, is fishing clear bodies of water where the fish live deeper, throwing spinning tackle, light line. I can definitely work on that aspect of the bass fishing.
All right, what are your thoughts about Florida?
I love Florida. We went to the Harris Chain twice last year. Probably my most enjoyable moments of last year were in Florida. So, I mean, I love it. You can go to Florida, pretty much fish any body of water and catch a ton of fish and have a good time and potentially catch the biggest fish you've ever caught in your life. So, and it's usually 80 degrees and sunny.
You make this sound way too simple. I'm over here looking at a map going, okay, there's 8 lakes. There's all these canals. There's all this. You're just like, you just go down there, put the flip-flops on and start. And you said you rolled down, didn't even have 4 hours of practice, did good down that. You're from Illinois. It's not like you.
No, in that tournament, we literally, and I'm not kidding you, we caught over 200 keepers in 3 days. I mean, it was
what
probably.
What time of year was it?
It was October, late October,
okay.
And the fish were just biting. I mean, we caught the heck out of them. It was probably the most enjoyable tournament that I've ever fished. And when I was there in the spring last year, there was a little pond by where we were staying at, and they had some canoes lined up down the edge of it. So I got permission to fish it, and I caught 2 over 8 pounds out of a canoe at the little pond. I mean, there's so many little bodies of water like that in Florida that you can fish that are just plumb full of them.
Huh. Outside of the high school and the college stuff, have you fished a lot, any like BFLs, Bass Nation stuff, anything like that? Or, I mean, is the Opens going to be kind of your first foray into being in the front, making all of the decisions without a teammate there with you?
Yeah, I've never fished a BFL. I was going to really start fishing them this year. Before all this happened, I was going to start fishing BFLs, Opens. And honestly, I was going to fish the Opens hopefully this year anyways, regardless of how I did in the bracket. So it all just worked out just perfect, really. And I don't have a lot of experience fishing individual tournaments like that. But, I mean, that's my style of fishing anyways. I like to just go out and fish by myself, kind of run on my own decisions. And, I mean, I think I'll do really well. That's always been kind of how I like to fish anyways. And I fish a lot of tournaments by myself anyways, little local tournaments on Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. I'll fish by myself. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, really.
All right, man. You have the vast majority of your expense covered to fish all 9 of the Opens. But since your victory, what's the sponsor lineup been like? Has the phone rang? Have you had a much easier time in trying to either maintain or obtain new sponsors? What's the scoop on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's opened the door for a lot of sponsorship opportunities. And I've had to kind of pick and choose what companies I want to work with. I really wanted to work with companies that I'm going to be loyal with, that I trust in, brands that I've used in the past. And I've signed partnerships with probably 8 companies so far that I'm really looking forward to working with in this upcoming season. And Shimano and Loomis is one of those companies. I mean, they're one of the best, or the best rod and reel companies in the industry. And I've known Shimano and Loomis since I was probably 8 years old. So that was a really easy decision. I signed a deal with Rapala, VMC, Terminator. So, that's also based. The bracket, I was throwing a DT6 the whole time. So, that's one of my biggest pieces of advice. If you're going to sign with a company, sign with one that you can be loyal with and that you really believe in. That's really what I've been trying to do, and it's worked out really well so far.
All right, very nice. A number of people want to know, what's your experience on the northern smallmouth lakes?
Not very much. I went to the St. Lawrence River, I think it was not last year, but the year before last, and it was incredible. They had a college Bassmaster event on there, and I had 20 pounds, 8 ounces the first day, and I was pumped. I thought I had a bag. Weighed in and was in 80th place. So my experience isn't too good up there, but I'm going back to Oneida. I'm going to Thousand Islands again for the Opens, and it was just a really good time. It's a beautiful, beautiful country up there, and I really enjoyed the experience. I'm just haven't figured out the smallmouth yet.
So you're a senior, so you graduated,
right?
And have your degree. So are you just like taking a year off right now? Obviously you can't be a teacher and fish all 9 opens and all that stuff. So you're taking a year off and doing the fishing thing this year and seeing where it leads. Okay.
Yeah, that's been my dream ever since I was a kid, was to fish the Elite Series. So I'm taking the year off. I'm gonna just dedicate myself to fishing. Right now I'm working on booking hotels and stuff, and I'm not gonna be home very much. I'm gonna be fishing constantly. So,
that's got to be crazy to wrap your head around, because all this happened kind of in the fall and recently, and then you take the COVID into effect and what's going on with schools and distance learning and all that, and you're going from, I'm going to be graduating, having to get a job, and then in like 2 months you're like, no, I could just fish all year and have my stuff covered, and I'm in the Bassmaster Classic. That's got to be kind of shocking to wrap your mind around.
Definitely, yeah. I didn't really ever expect it to happen. It's something that I've hoped and prayed for my whole life. I did my student teaching in the fall, so I was teaching every day of the week. So it was hard for me to even get out of school to fish tournaments. Between student teaching, the bracket, I had to beg to get off for the national championship, and I had to miss a whole week of school for that. And then I come back and said, well, I got to miss another week for the bracket. So they didn't really like that too much. And it was so hectic between student teaching and fishing. And now I'm trying to schedule for the upcoming year. It's been a crazy time in my life. But I'm so thankful and so blessed to be able to say it's crazy. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. So I'm a teacher. There were a couple people that were asking too, when you were doing your student teaching, what was your favorite subject to teach?
Yeah, so I had to break my student teaching up. I did special ed. It was middle school special ed, 6th through 8th grade. And that was really enjoyable. I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. And I really enjoyed 6th through 8th grade special ed. I would say literature is probably one of my favorite subjects to teach. I think it's a lot easier than math. Math's kind of really hard to teach if students struggle with it. So I really enjoyed literature. And then my second half of my student teaching, I taught 1st grade. That was hectic. That was right in the middle of the championship, the bracket.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 1st grade, I enjoyed it. It was really rewarding. But it was hectic. And then they actually watched the bracket. When I was fishing, I had to miss school, and they were watching it all day on the smart board. And then I come back, and man, they were fired up, asking me questions. They all drew a bunch of fish pictures and made a bulletin board with them. So it was really cool. I brought them a bunch of goldfish, and we celebrated. It was just really rewarding. And that's part of the reason why I went to school to be a teacher. I love kids. I love teaching young kids, and I'm going to use that in the fishing industry as well to reach out to our high school, our college anglers, and our youth who really want to be in my shoes and do what I've done. And I think I can use that as well in the future.
One of the things I want to talk to you about, and you mentioned some of the history of the collegiate anglers in the Classic. I think all the way going back, was Andrew Upshaw the first college angler, I think, that actually fished in the Bassmaster Classic with that, which is a long time ago.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But you look at what Hank has done, and a number of other people with that collegiate bass program, and then trying to figure out a way in a team tournament setting to get one representative for the Bassmaster Classic and kind of be the face of college fishing. Just talk a little bit about, you've been through it now for the 4 years. You've been through pretty much every aspect of it you can at the collegiate level, all the way up to fishing in the Classic. What Hank does and how smooth and well that machine is oiled at the collegiate level, because I mean, dude, it's not easy to figure out a way. I mean, you've got kids. I mean, not all of them are you who are like responsible teachers and stuff. Like, I fish collegiate too. I know what it's like to get stuff in on time and paid and people to show up at meetings and all that. But just talk a little bit about Hank and how, I guess, respected amongst the anglers that college and collegiate bass program is with the Bassmaster organization.
Yeah, for sure. No, he definitely 100% without a doubt runs the best high school and collegiate format. And I mean, we were talking about this the other day, me and Coach Render. All the college events are ran exactly like the Elite Series, and all the high school events, you can say that as well. I mean, they're professional. He runs them. He sets a pedestal up to make collegiate anglers into pros. I mean, and we were talking about this as well, me and Hank, actually. When I went into high school, I couldn't talk to you right now. I mean, I would be shaking. I couldn't get up on stage and talk. I mean, and through the Bassmaster events in high school, the Bassmaster events in college, I mean, you learn so much as far as talking to people, dealing with people in sponsorships. I mean, it literally trains you up to be a professional fisherman through the events that Hank runs. And that's what I've really enjoyed so much over the last 8 years fishing his events. I mean, everyone feels like you're fishing the Elite Series. From making the final day cut, I mean, I was fortunate enough to make several final day cuts in the college events. I mean, you got cameras all over you. You feel like you're fishing in the final day of the Bassmasters Classic every time you make a cut. So it's super professional, and he does just a fantastic job, him and the whole Bass staff, of making high school and collegiate anglers and training them into professional anglers.
I'm going to date myself, but I actually fished against Hank in college back when the national championship had 31 boats in it. He was fishing for Alabama. I was fishing for OU,
fished the first high school national championship. I think it was 2014, and there were 60 boats. Now there's like 260.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, that just looking at those numbers, I mean, high school and college kids are dying to fish the bass high school and college tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually had to put a cutoff at 250 anglers in the college tournaments because so many people are wanting to fish. I mean, it's just a great opportunity that you can't even talk good enough about. I mean, to have the opportunity to fish the Bassmaster Classic in college is just incredible.
I know Steve Bowman was instrumental early on in getting the collegiate stuff going and kind of running it and emceeing it. And then when Hank kind of took that over, he started from nothing. He had a great blueprint with his dad, Tripp, obviously, who has been retired for 48 hours now, Mark.
Yeah.
But it's just super impressive. And then we have guys like you on, and you're like, dang, it's a great product of the system. Would you not agree?
Oh,
Mark?
yeah, 100%.
And, KJ Queen and both of the Lee brothers, and Andrew Upshaw, and you have Trevor Lowe and John Garrett, and I mean, I'm missing a bunch there. Once you start naming people, that's the problem. But it's pretty impressive.
It is. All right, man. What's the one event of the 9 opens that you're really looking forward to, and then what's the one event you're like, man, I hope I can get a check?
Yeah. The Open's set up really, really well for me. I mean, over the last 4 years, we're going to Grand Lake in October. I've been there 4 years in a row in October. So I'm really looking forward to that event. I mean, I've got a lot of experience on the lake. Like I said, I've been there the last 4 years, and I've gotten first twice, second, and I think this year I got third or fourth. So I've got some really good finishes and some big tournaments on Grand in the month of October. So I should do well there. I'll be disappointed if I don't. I'm looking forward to the Harris Chain. Like I said, it's just awesome. Anytime you can get down to Florida and fish, and in Illinois, it's supposed to be a high of 12 degrees on Sunday. So if it keeps that up, I'll be glad to get away and get to some warmer weather.
All right, man, you're a young dude, and Matt went through a thesis that got a tremendous amount of response about his ritual and routine that he has to go through prior to a tournament or before the first cast.
Superstitions.
Yeah. Do you have any of those? Is there certain things that you're just I got to do this, I have to do this before I make my first cast?
Yeah, I pray a lot before tournaments, and I just ask God to direct me and show me. I mean, it's kind of weird. Show me what to do, and just kind of put on my heart what I should be doing. And if you don't have a relationship with God, you're missing out, because the first day of the bracket, I mean, the whole season, I can tell stories about this, but at 1 o'clock, I was getting the pants beat off me. I had one fish for like a pound, and I mean, it wasn't looking good. We weighed in at 3, and I just kind of said, God, I mean, lead me to something, show me, direct my paths. And I pulled up to this spot I hadn't caught any fish in, and I caught the biggest bag of the bracket. And then the second day, I had 7 pounds, and my partner Blake, that I was going to have to fish against the last day, he had almost 10 pounds. So I was a little bit discouraged. I felt like I was running out of fish, and it just hit me. It was like God spoke to me and said, don't worry, there's a reason you didn't catch them today. You're going to get them tomorrow. So I pulled up on this point, first thing that I hadn't started on all week, and I mean, went to town on them. I caught like 40 in a row. So I mean, I'm telling you, I pray a lot, and I feel like if you pray and ask God for wisdom, He'll direct your path, and that's would be the only ritual that I take to heart.
All right, very cool, Matt. I'm telling you right now, God's probably better than the Fishy 5. All right.
Yeah, my rituals, we won't even go down that path. That's very well said. My last question then. How many banded ducks? Like, I don't ever duck hunt, but everyone's always like, oh, I got a band. I got one with a band on it. How many of those do you have under your belt?
I'm just bad luck on the band situation. I hunt with a lot of guys. This year we killed, I think, 2 or 3 bands. I didn't get to keep any of them. We always flip for them, and I never win. So, and it doesn't really matter to me. I've been to Canada. I killed a band in Canada. I killed 2 duck bands, and I think like 3 or 4 goose bands. But I'm bad luck when it comes to bands. I don't even worry about it anymore.
That's the thing. That's like catching a tagged fish.
Really?
Yeah.
My dad's got a lanyard with like 30 on it. I mean, he's killed them all his life.
Wow.
What's more difficult, like duck, fowl hunting or bass fishing, in your opinion? Like, what if you had to pick one? Like, if someone just said, "What's tougher?"
They're 2 totally different deals. I mean, duck hunting is just really peaceful to me. I mean, I enjoy it. Watching ducks work, it's just a really graceful sport, and bass fishing just intense constantly from the first day of practice to the morning of the tournament. The intensity is just nuts, I think. I mean, I get so excited the night before that I can't sleep. And hunting's just really enjoyable. I mean, I do it just because I love to do it, and I do fishing for the same reason. Well, there's just a different kind of intensity, especially tournament fishing. I mean, it's peaceful if you're just going out and fishing, having a good time, but it's one thing to do that, and it's another thing to fish a tournament.
Yeah. Have you ever hunted, Mark?
No.
You've never been hunting at all?
No.
You ever been out with a hunter who's trying to capture some prey?
No.
I tell a story. I went out with my buddy who was a beginning duck hunter, and every single duck that came in, he started, wah, wah, and those things would just freak out. And after about the 3rd one, he's like, I'm starting to think I suck at this. And I'm like, I think it's kind of like a skill, like the calling, and I'm pretty sure you don't just blow into it.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, you got to read them. They get in different moods, and they're like a fish. They're different every day. And I mean, if it's sunny, cloudy, and you got to really understand what mood they're in, if they're wanting to eat or they're just flying by. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that you don't realize.
Yeah, I'd love to go out. And
Have you ever
do it
been
one
asked?
time.
Has anyone been like, hey?
No.
No one's been like, hey, come shoot some gray squirrels today.
No.
Or a covey of quail.
You know the shotgun that's in the office? I've shot it a couple times.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, it was just like shooting at coffee cans or something. Just never have. I got nothing against it. I'd love to go do it.
Got a squirrel out of the bird feeder with a BB gun. That's the extent of my hunting. I was
Well,
probably
I
about
keep hoping.
10 years old.
Dude, the players on my team, they are big time into duck hunting and deer hunting. And, they keep telling me, hey, coach, we're going to take you one day. We're going to, but,
You think you would enjoy that?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I just never have.
Then you'd have to get like a lab that would go get your duck.
They've got the dogs, man. I'm just out there to shoot them if I went duck hunting.
Because the cat's not going to go
No.
The cat's not going to go get it.
No, not at all. All right, Trevor, man. Thank you so much for taking time out, dude. It sounds like definitely got your life together and very, very anxiously will await and see what your performance is like on the Opens and the Bassmaster Classic this year.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a good time. I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. So,
hey, a lot of people appreciate the fact that your audio was crystal
it was
clear.
Good. Anytime you want to come back and talk more high-level hunting stuff, you're welcome.
Come on back.
I mean, we know how to do that too, obviously, as you can tell.
Hey, send me an invite. Maybe we'll do another one after I win the Classic.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
I like that
well,
too.
hopefully we will get you back on when you have one of those open trophies. So best of luck to you, Trevor, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep. You too.
See you. All right. Good dude, man. Sounds like
Very
he's
solid.
He's definitely got his game together.
That was why I asked the question about Hank, because he's figured out a system to apparently get the best guy every year. Or get it down to the group of the best guys.
Yeah.
Like, you would think like 1 out of the 12, you'd be like, oh boy. We haven't had one of those yet. It's been like, yeah, I could see that guy catching him.
Solid.
You know what I mean?
Solid. It's been solid, man. Hey, real quick, a couple of housekeeping items. I did receive a couple of emails, and I forgot to print them off because I wanted to show them to you, of people that live by Table Rock Lake that said, yes, Mark, yes, there were 24, 25-pound limits of spotted bass 20, 30 years ago.
I did not doubt you. I actually was on your side on that one. Just seeing
Poor Brian
that
Snowden
lake.
just ramming it down me
Yeah,
going,
Brian's like, no.
Jeffries, you're out of your mind.
Top out at 18 there, Mark. I mean, what are you going to do? Argue with Brian Snowden?
I know.
The guy's the man.
I know.
But he did also admit, he said, hey, it could have been before my time.
Yeah.
And he was there
And
in
it was.
93, and you have been around a little bit longer.
Yeah. So I just have lost touch. I was kind of depressed when he told me that. I thought the spots were still 4 and 5 pounds there, man.
So I think about stuff like, okay, think about Thunderbird, right? There's 5 9 to 10 pound. There's 5 10-pounders in Thunderbird. Would you agree? Just based on how many.
Yeah.
Like, does it ever happen where you have like one of those days where you just catch like 5 fish of a lifetimes in one day? So it'd be like a 50-pound sack out of Thunderbird or a 30.
No.
Like there's 5-pound spots in Table Rock. Like,
that doesn't happen at Clear Lake.
why? Like, but it technically there is a chance that you could catch the fish of a lifetime 5 times in one day. And typically, if you catch one, it's because the conditions are right and things are going right.
I could win the
I'm
lottery,
not talking
too.
like a 38-pound school that the guys on Sam Rayburn and stuff are catching. I'm talking about like a lake where, yeah, there's a lot of big fish, but usually a really good sack's 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to hear from someone who's like, dude, I had 5 random fish of a lifetimes in one tournament day. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, there's my kicker. And then you're like, holy cow, that's the 2 biggest ones I've ever caught out of this lake. Then you randomly catch another giant, and you just have a magic 8 hours. You see what I'm saying?
Do you think that's happened?
That's what I want to know. I would love to hear a story of how that happened. Not like 4 or 5 pounders, like where it's just like, oh my goodness.
Interesting. I don't think that's ever happened. Just
I'm not
random
saying it has or hasn't,
5 fish of a lifetime.
but I'm just
No.
saying it technically could, correct?
What is it, 65 pounds?
Yeah, Butch Brown did a deal where he had 65 in his best 5.
Where was that at? I missed that.
And I'm not talking about a lake that has like numerous 10-pounders in it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a deal where you catch like 1 or 2 a year out of there. You know what I'm saying?
That's like winning the lottery, dude.
Exactly.
I mean, that's massive odds. Huh. I don't know. That Brian Shambo story, the dude 35 years ago that caught, I don't know, almost 40 pounds at Uchi was pretty memorable. That's what kind of started the whole thing. Got me thinking, man, this would be cool. People need to know about this. And
You think,
in the 56K modem days. Do what?
Wait, that's what started the Bass Zone?
Well, it got me thinking.
Fish okay?
Yeah.
Wait. Say that again. So I know you were talking about that Uchi thing.
Yeah.
So what year was it?
Dude, it was in the early 90s.
And you were fishing a tournament on Uchi.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were this
Winter
guy,
jackpot.
This guy came in with a mega bag.
Yeah.
And you were like, the world needs.
Me and Pat were talking about it. Pat was my team partner at the time that I fished with all the time.
That's whose boat you have now.
Yeah. We were like,
with like 6
how is
out.
anybody going to find out about this? And Pat was like, well, this, it would be cool with the internet thing. If you could. And it just got me thinking. It's what sparked the whole thing.
And so you were like, if we could make a fishing board that we could be like, hey, this guy caught big ones.
Yeah. Because the only way that you would find out is in the Sunday paper. Because there was an outdoor column in the Tulsa World, and there was an outdoor column that, I forget the guy that used to, not Ed Godfrey, but the guy before him, that would do a Sunday outdoor column in the sports section of the Sunday paper for the Oklahoman. And that was the only way that you would find out. They'd have like little liner notes, and they would just showcase highlights from tournaments, and that's the only place that the news would get out. And then obviously the local community. I mean, everybody around Grand Lake and the Grand Lake area knew what Brian Shambo did, and he did it with a jerkbait. That was the other thing that was crazy.
So then how long after did you... What was the very first fishok.com thing that you put on?
It was the Sunday
web?
night, or not Sunday night, the Sunday winter jackpot.
The
From
results?
Uchi. Yeah, I just did a little story and did an interview and threw it out there. Yeah, and the dude was wearing overalls that won. I don't even remember the guy's name. Had a picture of him. Took a picture with like those old Sony digital cameras that you put the floppy disk in. I think they were called Mavicas.
Huh?
Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, that was like one of the first digital cameras that came out.
Like a 3-inch floppy disk.
That's what you put in the camera.
And then you'd put that into your CD-ROM?
No, those didn't exist.
Oh.
You had a floppy disk drive. Seriously, you don't remember these? This is a long time ago.
Then where would it pull up to in the computer? Because you didn't have like
No,
editing
you would have
programs and
no.
stuff.
You would have these drives.
MS-DOS?
No, there were software editing programs back then.
Okay.
I mean, on a scale not even close to what we have now, even 20 years ago. But you would pull the file in, and then you could edit it a little bit, and you could save it as a JPEG.
Was it a pain in the butt? Or was it easier?
It was hard because the processing speed of those first, I remember it was a Packard Bell is what it was, the computer that I had.
All right. Were you doing this all at work during off hours?
No,
or did you have
I was doing
home?
it at home. Doing it at home.
So you called? Were there companies that made websites, or did you have to figure out?
It was a local company in Oklahoma City that I got hooked up with, and it was a pain, dude.
You called and said, "Hey, I want a fishing website."
Yeah.
And they said, "Huh?"
And there were 2 guys working there, and they had just started doing the whole website thing, and that's how they were working in the basement of the First Square Tower is what it was called back then. Downtown Oklahoma City. And that's how the whole thing got started. Met with the guy, at some Mexican food restaurant that I don't even know if the building's even still there. And I go, here, man, here's my idea. Can we do this? Yeah, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. I don't remember how much it was. $500, something like that. And you used to have to, you remember this because you used to have to do it. You had to FTP everything.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
You had to move
file
it to
transfer protocol
to the server.
Yeah.
And then from the server to the site.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I was good at that.
You were good at that.
That was mid like 2007, 2008.
Yeah. So this was way before that. And in the early stages, the modems were super fast for then, but in today's speed of technology, it was, it creeping along is what it was. But yeah, Brian Shambo kind of inspired that whole deal.
Very interesting.
So kind of some backstory on that. Yeah, but those cameras, they were called Sony Mavicas. I don't even remember what year it was.
You still have one?
No, they're like door stops, dude. We still got all those floppy drives. You remember all those floppy drives?
Yeah, but they were more the little hard ones.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so
you know what I mean. They weren't. They when I got into it,
hard is better than floppy. I'll tell you that.
They were. I don't know how else to say it. They were no longer the floppy ones. They were. What were those?
Smaller and plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put that in the best of.
Hanger. Wow. The other thing was, somebody sent me an email about, they've had all this snow in the Northeast.
Yeah.
There was a bowling center that the roof collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the family needed some help, so I'm going to take a look into that, see if there's anything that we might be able to do, or I might be able to do to.
I got you.
It's one of those family-owned proprietors. I mean, those places are getting hammered anyway because of the whole COVID situation. So I will get back to that person, and I'm still, folks. It has been crazy because of the show and basketball and everything else that I got going on. I will hopefully by tomorrow get back to all the emails that have been sent. I just got to set aside time and take a block of time and respond to everybody, because I think it's important that if you guys take the time to send me an email, it is my responsibility to get back with you.
I echo those sentiments because I run into the issue on Instagram. So you have like the messages, and then you end up doing it, and then all of a sudden one that you're like, hey, you see it while you're in the car, and then you mean to answer it, and now all of a sudden it's 15 down on your messages. So I'm going through, and I will be doing the same thing today also. While you're on some sort of device connected to the internet, join the Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Bass Talk Live group. There's already 250 that are in it. I actually made it Monday immediately after the show. All you do is when you go to Bassmaster.com, I'm just going to do a simple run through for those who have not fantasy fished before. And I've just missed out on so much fun over the years. You go. Let me go to the main site, and I'll just walk people through real quick, just because I know that. So at the top of the deal, you see fantasy fishing. You click on fantasy fishing, it'll open it. You just log in. You create a screen name. You create a password, because we don't want our fantasy fishing accounts getting hacked.
No, we do not.
Moving it to a 90th place finisher from a top 10, that would just ruin the season. And then go to the on the top of the tabs, go to groups under join or create a group. Click on that. Then just search Bass Talk Live, space in between each one, and then join the group.
There you have it. And then you can compete against Matthew here, who has
been
you,
Mark, you
dialed
do
in.
It.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's just sometimes I forget.
Yeah, I feel like my explanation of fantasy fishing was much cleaner and crisper than my explanation of Johnny Morris's U.S. Open tournament trail at the beginning of the show. It got a little noodly.
All right.
Just so much information hitting me at once.
I know. Tomorrow, folks, day 4, Frank Scalish. If you want to take part in the show via video link and you have a good internet connection, high speed, not a 56K connection, if you have a headset that has a wired microphone and earplugs, and obviously a video camera. I'll send you the link if you send me an email, mark@bassone.com, and you can join Frank, Matt, and myself on the show tomorrow and ask Frank anything that you want to ask Frank. Fishing or, I don't know about non-fishing.
We haven't really gone down the non-fishing path with Frank, have we?
No.
We know all about your history, your medical history, the origins of the...
Yeah. Somebody even asked on the YouTube comments, is my son still flying? Absolutely. He's been swamped.
Really?
Yeah. Very busy.
And AJ's back at school.
Yeah. Yeah. Very busy flying for Americans. So good stuff, folks. Once again, I want to thank Trevor McKinney. And,
very impressive.
Very impressive. Good dude.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear what he said? And we didn't even get to it. Did you hear what he said in his interview? I already deleted it. I've closed it. He said going into the bracket, he said, I don't want to sound cocky, but I had a feeling I would win this thing.
It's confidence.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he did. And then he also said he thought he'd do pretty well in the Classic.
Yeah.
But in a very humble way. I mean, didn't come off as cocky at all.
Might be one of the top guys to deal with it, the Harris chains. What do you think?
He sounds a lot more confident in it than I do.
He's like,
he spun me out.
I'm just going to cruise down there and take care of business.
Hundreds of fish. I'm sitting at the computer just looking at all the different lakes. I'm like marking how to get to the different lakes, and I'm like, that's successful.
Wow. That was kind of funny. I got a chuckle out of that one.
I have a feeling I will be fishing grass down there, though.
That's going out on a limb.
Unless I just stick around the bridges and the canals.
And boat ramps.
Drop shot boat ramps.
All right,
I think
folks.
that's a good way to come in with a 5.5-pound limit, personally.
Yeah, probably so. All right, tomorrow, Frank, day 4. Everybody be safe. That's it. We're out of here.